It's one of the biggest events in North Yorkshire, and people come from far and wide to the craft festival, and we get several thousand people visiting us.
I'm a cat!
30 years ago, my predecessor here in Cawood, Ralph Messer, together with other people from the community, got together and created a vision for a craft festival, the original aim of which was to support the work and witness of All Saints Church and also to raise money for its fabric.
This vision coincided with the time when the long-awaited flood defences were to be constructed.
What could we do to raise funds for the church? I happened to be interested a bit in metal detecting at the time, so I suggested that we may have a metal detector meeting in conjunction with the work that was going to be done digging up the foreshore.
He advertised all around the country, north of Scotland, south of England, all around the place, and we got people to come with their metal detectors.
As well as giving them an opportunity to go metal detecting in a historic setting, we thought we ought to plant some seeds of some sort.
These seeds consisted of numbered metal tags, which were paired up with some old coins, including a gold sovereign, which church treasurers over the years had been unable to bank. To avoid obvious disturbance, these tags were pushed into the riverbank. The response from the detector world was a pleasant surprise.
When the doors opened at 7 o'clock in the morning on the day, there was a flood of people, all wanted to get registered quickly and pay their dues, and it went very well. A number of fines were made. There were rumours of fines that weren't declared, but we had archaeologists in attendance who advised people what the various bits of metal were that were found. One man found a silver penny.
They found these coins, and they found a lot of other coins as well, which went off to the old boys' school, and the idea was that they kept a half of the value of the coins they found, and the rest went to the church.
Everybody was delighted. Nobody complained. If there were some people who went away with fines that they didn't declare, they would be happy as well. But the church was happy because we made quite a bit of money out of it.
The vicar at that time was the Reverend Ralph Messer, who, before entering the ministry, had been a journeyman bookbinder. With such a craft skill, it was natural for him to consider that a craft festival could encourage others to develop their skills.
When Ralph came to the Cawood as the incumbent, one of his duties was to do with Selby Coalfield, and his particular thing was unemployment. It made him think how you could develop some of the ancient crafts with people's skills as to work with their hands. Ron and Gwen Woodhouse and Ralph, Joan Denning particularly, because of her being an artist, they were talking in the pub one day and they were looking at the long menu board, and he thought about a great feast. Then he thought, no, we could start thinking about traditional skills.
My suggestion was that we have in the village a number of people, in and around the village, a number of people who are very good at various crafts.
The wall from the bridge, as it were, and right through to the church was just going to be hung with paintings, and people would view them as they walked along. it was quite amazing how it escalated into anything but that.
And their idea was to get the artists to come and exhibit their paintings all along the wall. They didn't do that, but they did do putting the artists painting things, and also the emphasis being on demonstrations of people, demonstrations of woodwork. That was a very important feature.
So it was suggested that we have an arts and craft competition in the church.
The church had to loan £500 to the Craft Festival Committee, and that started off the Craft Festival.
They agreed to give us £500 and said they'd put it on for that. And if it doesn't work, we won't lose so much, but if it works, so be it. And it worked. It's like the talent scheme, the biblical talent scheme.
The first time, as I remember, it was only in the church. And I don't think the annual craft fair, which grew from that, extended into the vicarage garden on the first occasion.
We just cleared out as many pews as we thought to make sufficient room, and laid them on their backs and all sorts to make tables, and I got probably 8 or 10 sheets of plywood from work, and we just laid them on top of pews to make the decking to put the exhibits on.
The first festival was enough of a success to encourage the organisers to proceed with the project with added venues. Margaret Messer and Irene Abbott were caught by the local press with a somewhat basic direction sign.
You had to have a programme and a fee to get in to cover the cost. Then of course they had to come and they had to have a cup of tea. So we had ladies, we got a group of ladies together who baked, made sandwiches and used the Old Boys School for stall holders and also for refreshments. So gradually you're incorporating all the businesses and getting the opportunity to see the church at work.
From the early years, the vicarage garden has been ideal for marquees and stalls. But the true heart of the festival is the competition in All Saints' Church. Under the eyes of Cawood-born Archbishop Mountain, work by many volunteers gets the church ready.
That's going to go in there.
The next task is to book in the entries to go on display.
Yeah. And then there's Hannah's quiz, which is 58, sorry. In this green, yeah.
That's 8 to 11.
Is that pale green? That pale yellow, is that the 8 to 11?
These are 8 to 11.
With over 100 stalls, there is much work to do in preparation. Ralph chaired the festival committee until his unexpected death.
At that time, Ralph dying, it did put us into a bit of a crisis situation, as he'd been such a good leader to us all, really, and I was brought into it. I don't know whether I exactly volunteered for it, not really ever having done anything so important. I never thought it would ever escalate into the going on that it eventually finishes up as.
A regular feature of the festival now is live entertainment. This started when David Kettlewood met a conductor looking for a venue for his newly formed brass band.
This is how the music side of it came on. We felt that people wandering around needed something to listen to, even if they weren't taking 100% notice of it, but it just helped the atmosphere.
After David left, I was voted unanimously to then be chair. I was chair for 3 years, enjoyed it immensely. I had a little fright when it came to health and safety and risk assessments, which thankfully, having produced a huge file over 4 days, we were then all up to date and safe.
This was backed up with first aid provided by St John Ambulance volunteers.
My name's John Catnack. I'm the chairman of Cawood Craft Festival Committee, and it's our 22nd year of having the festival.
Sarah was succeeded by John Catnack. He found new challenges confronting the committee.
The Methodist Chapel for many, many years had been one of the venues for the old photographs, and it was the Women's Institute, and they used to do their teas there. Now sadly we lost the use of that facility, and so we had to think about where else in the village we could use, and the suggestion came up that we would use the village school. Now the only problem about that was that it was across the length of the Garth, and it was away from what I always call the main drag. However, by that time we were able to use the Garth. Richard Teal did a lot of work and ended up getting a reenactment group who could put up tents and could do archery displays. So that in itself meant that people would be led into the Garth and then on to the school. Something else which was very, very important was actually utilising the land at the rear of the vicarage. A very old marquee used to take up masses of the garden, and there was very little room for anything else. Michael Johnson said that he would be able to clear a fairly large piece of land. He spent a year clearing it and then flattening it, and in fact that is where the new marquee sits. So it's actually doubled the space that we have to use.
The enlarged space behind the vicarage is now filled with attractions for thousands of visitors. And other areas have been incorporated.
What we also managed to do was formalise the use of the land in front of Cawood Castle. What we decided to do, partly to stop people just setting up on their own, was to call the area in front Exhibition Square. And we have formalised that now. We have got an information tent and stall, and people actually do have to pay to go on there. They just can't wander in. If you then go through the archways, that leads to the back garden and of course the miniature railway, which the kids absolutely love, and it's been going for years, and if we actually lost that, people would be so unhappy. Another thing we decided to look into was the logo for the craft festival. It was decided to hold a competition at Selby College utilising Sarah Bates' students.
You could learn about what a logo is, learn about the branding, what visual communication is, and obviously what we as a committee wanted to communicate through our logo to our community. The logo that was chosen was by a student called Vicky. She designed it. The colours were blue and green, which were very natural colours, very calming, and it was fitted perfectly with the ethos of what Cawood Craft Festival was about. It also gave the festival an identity, which we could hang other things off. So the signage, the brochure itself, the cover, any literature that went out, it went on a letterhead. and also went on the labels that were given out over the 3 days.
The festival has continued to grow, and with a slight counting error, there were actually 2 21st festivals. But 2012 was a very special year. On Friday afternoon, the judges study the crafts on show and choose the prize winners.
The quality of the exhibits in there is absolutely superb, and I know the judges found it very, very hard judging who was first, second and third, and then especially trying to decide which was the best in show.
The Friday evening is the first chance to see the exhibits. With a glass of wine, visitors can see the results of the judges' deliberations. The highlight of the evening is the prize giving.
I'd like to introduce Councillor Jack Crawford and his wife Kathleen. Jack's the chairman of Selby District Council, so we'd like to welcome you, Jack. So we'll get on with the presentations and we'll see who's won the prizes.
And the first prize goes to Master William Lonsdale.
This class is best in show of all the children, and the prize has been sponsored by John Cawood, and the prize is awarded to Emily Sims, contribution in terms of my My first prize goes to George Bryant. George.
Very well done, George.
Right, the next class is oil.
The best in show, and I'll let you read it out.
Right. Best in show for adults, and this is in memory of Ian Patterson. The prize has been sponsored by Carol Robson, and the award is given to Caroline Neal, and this is for the Angel Quilt.
The award we actually present for the best in show is the Dot Hunt Memorial Trophy. We actually present this big one tonight, which will go alongside the article that's won the best in show. So they get a smaller one in as well, which actually says the Dot Hunt Memorial Trophy, best in show 2012.
Dot Hunt, many of you will know, was the lay reader of this church and was deeply, deeply involved in the mission of the church in this parish. And she was also one of the founding figures of the Craft Festival all those years ago, along with my predecessor, Ralph Messer.
It was our 30th anniversary, so we looked at all various things to link the 30 of the craft festival and the Olympics and other things that were going on this year.
Saturday starts with a procession from the school to the vicarage. In 2012, it was led by Graham Carrera, who'd had the opportunity to run with the Olympic torch. Here, he brought his replica version.
We're off, mate. I should move that car. Definitely move that car.
One of the highlights this year was getting Christine Walkden off the One Show. Christine is the gardening guru off that programme, and she kindly agreed to come and open the craft festival. She used to live in Cawood, going back many years ago, while she was working at the local experimental farm.
You in front this time?
Yeah, the Olympic torch. We've got to take pride in place. A considerable pleasure to be back in Cawood. Many of you may not know that in fact I lived here 35 years ago and worked at Stockbridge House. Festivals like this take a phenomenal amount of work, and it's work that takes place over the year. It's not just a few days. Visitors come, they have a fantastic time, they trough a good nosh, they have a nice drink, they go off and buy things and enjoy everything to be seen. But there'll be a group of people that will have slogged the guts out for the last 12 months. In the last fortnight, they'll have had kittens several times. Last night when it was teeming down, they will have thinking, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen? It's festivals like this that keep Britain alive. So I hope that you have a fantastic 3 days. I hope Mr Gibbs and everybody else that I've spoken to behaves themselves and turns off the irrigation pipes. And I hope you just enjoy the event. Have a good time, and thank you very much.
That talking to wasn't entirely successful. However, for most of the time, the weather was good. Inside the marquees, a wide variety of homemade products was on show and for sale, ranging from jam to pottery.
Thank you very much.
That's nonsense. That's the sale notes. In the configuration, the colours.
In line with Ralph Messer's wish, craft demonstrations were prominent. The pottery demonstration provided the opportunity to get rather messy. Food is an important part of the festival, from the traditional to the international. The school kitchen provides refreshments for visitors who have come to see the exhibitions held there. The old boys' school continues its tradition as the main source of sustenance. The Towton Battlefield Society cooked their own battlefield stew for the reenactors before their spectacular demonstration.
Can I just warn you, ladies and gentlemen, this demonstration and the guns itself is going to be loud. So you will need to protect your ear. You're going to load it. It's called a pole gun, because it's a gun on the end of a pole. Have a cat! And that lead pellet will go around about 60 yards. The gun that you can see in front of you there is not a cannon, by the way. It is a falconet. Now I'm going to apply a match cord to it. Have a cat!
We had a tapestry exhibition at the school where ladies from Leeds area had done patchwork and tapestry and quilting. And that was something new.
In addition to the quilts, there was a display of old photographs of the village. At the other end of the school hall, there was an art exhibition showing off the skills of local artists. Additionally, in one of the classrooms, there was also an antiques fair. The playing field was the venue for a dog show.
It's the second year we've done the dog show. We get a chap in from Halifax who's an experienced dog show judge. He does it all for us. We just set the arena up and the PA system, and it all goes on from there.
It was obviously a fun time for the many puppies on show. Various vintage steamrollers and traction engines were a huge attraction. With engineering craft manifest in the smaller working models. This scarecrow reflects the arrival of the Queen at the Olympic opening ceremony back in 2012. Other mannequins represent the many different sports competed for in those Olympic Games. With 5 different venues, a free shuttle service was provided.
It's quite a first thing, like, obviously, you know.
This linked the church, the school, the castle, the vicarage and Cawood Caravan Park.
We're only able to put on such a large craft festival by the number of people that help us. Without the help, there'd be no way we could do this.
One of the many jobs for volunteers is car parking duty. Free car parking is a big attraction in encouraging visitors to come to the festival from all over Yorkshire and beyond. Very soon it's the evening of Bank Holiday Monday, and that means it's time to clear everything away.
See you soon, I hope. Nice meeting you.
And as the exhibitors leave, the vicar waits to say thank you and invites them to return next year.
Over the years since that original craft festival, it has grown and expanded beyond its original vision and now embraces much more widely the entire community here in Cawood. And so the festival doesn't merely now support the work and the fabric of All Saints Church, but is a means of celebrating Cawood as a vibrant village, together with the folk who live here.
It wasn't necessarily to do with the primary aim of raising money for the church, but it had one of the criteria. But on the other hand, there was always that flaw, or the danger. The church would become to rely on something that could finish very quickly.
It's come a long way since the first year. Just very little art exhibition in the first year has grown into this village-wide celebration every year. I'm delighted.